Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. It's a very challenging environment out here to have the clarity in the voice when it comes through. Because all the background noise and trying to suppress the background noise and everything else, and trying to, adjust the controls so the voice sounds, pleasant. But I'm having trouble cutting through with clarity, so I changed to another setting I have. I might actually have to go in and alter the main settings. This particular device here, it's a Revelator IO44. And that particular device, you need a Windows computer or a Mac to adjust the main settings. So you can kind of do your presets the way you want to, but you can only do adjustment of the volume, I think a high pass filter, and a couple other things, but nothing much. So doing the best I can. I could hear that it was muffled. Could be maybe my windscreen needs to be clean. That happens too. You get out here walking with all the muck and mire, and also, the kind of spit that comes out, which reminds me, I know it's gross, but God showed me something I was supposed to tell you yesterday and forgot. Great, how are you, sir? If you kind of accidentally spit and it lands on something, and you cough and some spit comes out, that happened to me yesterday. Whatever your spit lands on, you can read it, because that means they're spitting on it. So I know it's gross, but that's how God communicates on a planet that can't hear God most of the time. So if you spit on your wallet, you're like, I spit on my money. I told my neighbor this, and he said, yeah, I know. I don't know if he's real or just pulling my leg, but I said, not this part, but something else. If you drop your credit cards and your money, that means they're cursing your money. So you go, like, yes. I'm not big on healing that stuff, but I think maybe I healed that every so often. Because my neighbor dropped something, either money or his credit card. I said, they're crushing your money. That's what that means. Because your money drops, your credit card drops. Heal in the name of Jesus. Yeah, the noise gain on this one's not all that high, so it kind of has some issue with that. Let me make sure the other noise gate's on, the one online. Yeah, I have the online noise suppression on too. So it's still a little warm, but it's really kind of humid. So we're in that fall weather where we get that humidity, possibly, some dangerous storms. Now you got to keep their operators off balance, or they're going to keep ruining the country. So that particular case in New York, obviously the kid could have extorted her. That's actually a well, I don't know. It's kind of a weird manifestation of it. But young people do act out when they're molested and things like that, and raped. So that would be in line with him acting out based upon the abuse. But it's kind of a strange manifestation. Channel the anger through it. However, there could be third-party people involved. And what their scam is that when they get the person to offend or make it look like the person is offending, or just get everybody to believe whatever they say because they have 50 cases behind them that were real or theoretically real. Maybe everybody bought into those cases also, and people, have had to lose that credibility to say anything about the people that are victimizing. So again, it's what I say it is, and it's a way for them to cover over their crimes by victim shaming. But it's an official action. It's a psychological action. It's based in CIA type technology. It's running rampant. That's why one of the reasons the nation screwed up. So you got to keep them off balance. This guy looks out of place. Healed him once, let me heal him again. I don't know where he's going. This is usually not a road. It's travel. Not too many pedestrians walk down this road. It's actually a safer location than the majority of extended stays. It's not on an end cap, I guess you can say, a main road where you have the highway, you have the frontage road, then you have intersections on the frontage road, and those intersections on the frontage road, when you put an extended stay or something like, or a hotel there, it has the propensity, especially one that has individual entrances, it has to each room, it has a propensity to draw the wrong type of people. But this one's kind of in the middle, so it doesn't have that. If somebody was driving up the highway and they said, "Hey, there's one. Let's go over there and see if we can roll somebody," or something like that, that could occur. But generally, the issue stems from the hotel or extended stay being on a main road that has pedestrian traffic, or some sort of road that has pedestrian traffic. So frontage roads generally don't have a lot of pedestrian traffic. But if you're on that other, either end of that frontage road where it has a traveled way road where people are walking up and down with pedestrian traffic. All right, they're projecting even harder now. So there's additional people focusing will just blow their brains off with metaphysics. Whoa! Hopefully we'll send them reeling. Well, that's what's in the head of that guy that they had to shoot. Just, hopefully it wasn't the agents pushing his buttons. So we're cleaning the air. Satan is the power of the air, or actually the anti-power of the air. But there are people with Satan that, like, Satan can't get into the planet without living beings channeling Satan. It's kind of like volleyball. I can hear them. They're encouraged. Yeah, deluding themselves. So, again, she may have been led into that, and no, it's not okay. The idea is, again, to get the person to commit a crime and then say, "Oh, we're not responsible, or we're okay because they are the criminal we said they were." Again, she probably doesn't even know anybody's there. Remember how evil it is. It's how they start out. The person's asleep to it, and they're possessing her mind, then telling you they're the greatest of the greatest. Still kind of humid, kind of warmish. Ugh. But it's better than it's been. Boy, this is walking weather. Already walked a couple times. Hopefully drop that extra weight. It says it's going to warm up in the 90s. And when it happens, I'll believe it. Like into the mid 90s or so, mid to upper 90s, a couple days here or there. But I mean, it is still early. It's not September yet. Okay, as far as PragerU goes, obviously global warming is occurring. Whatever triggered it, triggered it. But I don't, based upon the science that's available over the last decade and a half, or not, decade and a half or so, you're not going to be able to control the weather by reducing emissions. Now, I didn't say that it's not a good idea to reduce emissions. I did say it's not a good idea to rush EVs because you're not ready for it. Your structure's not ready for it. People can't afford EVs. So again, always maintain a vigil on that price of gas. Don't get the idea that was in your heads before that, if you would only move to an electric vehicle, you'd be okay, because the more people that move to electric vehicle, the more expensive electricity is going to be. So we're not going to save a bunch of money in the end. They're going to in the end us. It's already happened. Right. So again, we're going to be fighting for the price of electricity to go down at some point. But always keep that down or your inflation's going to go crazy. There is a direct link to fossil fuel cost, and the answer is not EVs. Again, I'm telling you right now, electric prices will go up and inflation will go up once we get to that mode. So again, at least be intelligent and figure it out at this point. So again, PragerU is kind of off when they're saying that nothing's happening. We do need to clean some things up. And there's nothing wrong with that. Dirty air causes a lot of illnesses to trigger. But I don't think you're going to be able to. I think the plant's just going to keep going. Now, again, it could tilt and cool the planet. But it looks like it's tilting in the other direction, like consistently. Again, the idea, you're making a lot of money off of it. Hopefully one day you'll be honest about it. Well, theoretically, we've been on this planet long enough to clean things up. And when the population idea that Elon has is that's like his most harebrained idea. I mean, if you want slave labor, it makes sense. Have an overage of people, and not enough jobs, not enough jobs. But if you're looking at how it works, all you have to do is you have to work past the reduction in the number of people, and then it'll be better off because your resources will be more sufficient. We don't have the resource. He doesn't even have the resources to build his cars for all the people that are going to be here. See, it doesn't make any sense. You're going to have an initial issue when you reduce the number of people. You're essentially going to use robotic labor and already starting. And that's a correction that's probably needed. I mean, that's not probably, it's needed. We need less people. Now, because we had the baby boom and now we don't have the baby boom, there's going to be a kind of a cliff of population. Or I don't even think a cliff of, but it's not going to escalate. Right? It's a model that works, but there's a certain point that, let's say everybody's in a room, you got limited space, limited resources. One refrigerator, a table, a television. So again, it does make sense to reduce the population. However, yes, there is going to be a little bit of issue. But again, you didn't care about my life. I'm not with anybody or any children, so we'll move in the direction that God chose, because you chose something, all of you. If you haven't figured out, everything you're doing to me is manifesting in the world and have done to me. That's going to be done to the entire planet. God brought it the other day. They still want you to be a shut-in. That's what they're trying. And they actually go, this guy's so dangerous. He should be out. He shouldn't be out of his room. He shouldn't be out of his room. Mrs. Wade, these cops are. They're fucking shit. This is what they've been saying for like 30 years. Fucking, they're freaks. Oh, we got him. Say fucking. Hey, can we do something else today? Let's bring a 13-year-old around him. That's how it works, all of you. They're sitting back laughing because they screwed up my housing. But they screwed up the housing for all of Johnson County. That's true. They raised it $200. Oh, we'll have richer people here. The ones that fuck each other. Okay. That's really what's going on. They're not enforcing law. They're fucking people. That's why an officer got shot. I have to be truthful with you because you have to understand what you're doing to yourselves. Again, I make public notice for God. Remember, the officers and the PIs that come in here and all these people with money that tell you to do stuff to people, there's a price to pay for that. So when you act all indignant when a cop gets killed, realize you brought it on yourselves. God can protect you, but he can't protect you when you do that, all of you. I'm telling you that for about 10 years now, maybe even longer. Oh, yeah, your psychology works to destroy somebody's health and life and housing and make them homeless and make them poor and make them run around the outside somewhere at the mall with their penis out, or a naked woman sitting in her car. It works, but there's a price to pay for that. You'll see that price in less than 50 years, but wait till you see 50 years from now. Have fun, all of you. Have fun. You destroyed the housing in Johnson County to get me. It's destroyed. As far as apartments and rentals. But we're making money. No, you're not. It's driving up inflation, and you're actually putting the additional money out. We don't care because Trump's going to be president. Or his right-hand faithful supporter, Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy, this Juneteenth, he's not going to be president. Even if a Republican could take the presidency, it's not going to be Ramaswamy. And there are some more mature Republicans that are looking at Ramaswamy information coming out and going, shit. Well, we got some real Biden saying stuff. But it wasn't like in the last few years. Bunch of spoon-fed people telling everybody this is a hard-working American. That's it. That was their comrade thing. That was the MAGA comrade, partner concept. It's all based upon Soviet Union. MAGA is based upon the Soviet Union. And so is Russia, actually. But I'm not saying Ukraine's any better. They all come in this country, they get hired to harm U.S. citizens, and they're made very wealthy. Or may come in with a few dollars from crime over in Europe, and you're in now because you greased the right palm. Again, federal law enforcement, same way. Get a little bit extra money, start greasing palms politically, and then they start greasing your palm. That's how it works. Quid quo pro. Again, state and local probably also. Whatever you did alter them. They responded, and what I'm getting is you made allegations or made inference somehow along the lines of what I was saying. I'll give you all the information you need to get where you say you want to be and where you should be, or even where you think you are or say you are. But it's up to you to take it and use it and become who you're supposed to be and who you most likely are saying you are. So they'll torture somebody and they'll go, oh, he's reacting poorly to what we did. I mean, it's insane. It's that insane. That's where law enforcement is today. That's where intelligence or private investigation is. Remember, if the woman in New York was moved to do that, the people that did it to her did it to hundreds and hundreds of people in their lifetime. They know the science is sure to a certain degree to at least ruin the person's life, if not become that pedophile. That's how sick they are. That's power! That's power! Hey, what up? Look at it, 7 of diamonds, number of completion. me see if I can get this. How do I put the camera on? Whoop. Let me see if I can get this to work. That may not work. There that is. All right. Challenging you. That's like so ignorant. Law enforcement. I'm going to speak about that. That law enforcement is so ignorant when they use that. He's challenging us. Their language is so stupid. They torture somebody. They say something back, and they go, "He's challenging us, der boss, der." All right, there it is. The 7 of diamonds. Der boss, he's challenging us, boss. So again, when they're focusing on a person, they have the ability to project, like Satan. Through Satan, they project the power of the air. And they can clog the person's mind. Now, what they'll say is, "Oh, they need to get medicated. If they're medicated, we let them up." This is one of the things they use. As soon as you get medicated, they go, "Oh, see, the person's crazy. We got to increase operation and really figure this out, boss. The boss." That's what they're That's the wavelength law enforcement operates on. The boss. They're devious, and they call that intelligence. Oh, we gotta be devious to catch these criminals. Jesus Christ, they're everywhere. Why are they everywhere? You created crime, all of you. They can't live without screwing somebody over. And they can't live without an arrest. In other words, they are crime at its root. They can't live without. They need it. Stats. We need stats. They're addicted. They're addicted to people committing crime. No, someone is a mayor in New York. We're big. NYPD's mayor. We got chance. You'll see, it'll be so safe here. Turbo's. Cool looking microphone or motorcycle. White Harley. Oh, that means was racist. He said White Harley. So what you'll see is spycraft entities shifting the world, if you could see, and making racism something else. Again, I believe that Juneteenth is a great holiday. However, there are limitations of what everything is. People aren't racist because of appropriation. If I eat soul food, I'm not appropriating. If I eat African food, I'm not appropriating. But again, it gets to that level. And what's it based upon? It's based upon a manipulation of the mind. That person, it gives the devils an ability to project into your mind who's appropriating and who isn't appropriating. Isn't it funny that if you're like donating $1 million to the tribe, that you're not appropriating, but you can do the same thing that people that are appropriating do? Because it's not real. And in fact, when I began helping the Native American culture and my spirit of Native American came on, because I'm from the sky, I've been there before in another life. It's reincarnation, not a Christian. What did Jesus say? He's been places too before he came here, and he's going to go back, right? All of a sudden, appropriation comes up. Now, Satan would do that by Satan's self, but of course, the spycraft operators see it, including the oil companies. Oil companies play Native Americans to isolate themselves and hate people that come to help them when they're really effective. I mean, if they're scam like Hollywood, oh yeah. What's up? What'd you say? No, I'm broadcasting. Oh, I thought you were hiding. Yeah. Well, I've been inside a little bit. It's been hot. You know what I mean? So no reason for me to come out. I'm retired, right? Oh, no, I'll be out now walking. It's supposed to get hot like in a couple weeks. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I think the Russians have a weather satellite that actually beams it and it affects They said that the Russians benefit the most from global warming. It increases their agriculture land. It thaws it out. Because- yeah, they made money doing this to me. That's what it's about for them. But yet some of them are just psychotic. There's a list of people that they destroy, and they just keep doing it. Gets them off, gets them better sex, better money. Satan gives them a car, an SUV, and eventually a certain number of them kill their wife, husband, kids. Go to a bar, rape a woman. And some of them get away with the rape. I'm sure a few got away with the murders. So when you have an issue in the police department, some of it is, as I explained, is an extension of what I'm speaking about. Because that's the next step. They physically kill someone, physically rape a woman. So again, the psychology of being anti-power in a government position creates the issues you have when people in your government, such as Overland Park, has an officer that raped a woman, because they're used to driving around people and forcing them, square pegs into round holes and laughing about the damage they cause. That's what it comes from. Now, could he be a victim? Yes. They may have turned on him and made him become that. See, if I had the ability to watch everyone with law enforcement while I'm saying this, but somebody else doesn't, hopefully they are. See how you react to it. That's what killed Jonathan Luna, what I'm speaking about. Now, could he have been over the line? Because there's some rumor inside as to why do you support him? He was doing people. I myself don't have any evidence of that. Hey, there's a Tesla over here. There's some woman driving a Tesla from Michigan here. we don't, these places we usually don't get Teslas. And in fact, I don't know how she charges it. Maybe she goes down the street somewhere. I don't know. So again, the idea is, how would you charge your vehicle here? Because you're speaking about mainstream media. Even the only person that I actually had any interaction with on a regular basis that owned a Tesla was the guy who managed at a minimum, if not owned, the Studio 6 in Garland, Texas. And he had a like some big SUV he usually drove, I think it was. It stayed plugged in all day. I guess it was some sort of tax break that I offer or something. I think he drove it once in whatever 6 months I was there, I guess, or maybe even a little less than 6 months. Stayed plugged in. So again, I imagine for people that don't have people eyeing their life and killing it before it gets somewhere, he's probably in something with it. Like the Doggo coin person, the Tesla owners, it's not a physical thing. Before they get to the physical thing, it's a metaphysical thing. So it may actually be paying them dividends. So again, that's the Earth system. The Earth system tries to pay me dividends, and these people come in and they destroy it physically. But for that cause, God is destroying the Earth. No, I'm not to renounce anything. And I'm to see where Earth puts me. Healed in the name of Jesus, Miss Maine there. Got a Maine license. People moving about on a Sunday morning. Going to Einstein Bagels, Einstein. No, they take contracts and then they try to make up some reason why they're doing it to a person. So what they did is they shifted law enforcement over the years into something that creates crime, and it became normal to be some people would call it jerk, but it's a devil. So they drive through your community and they're cursing people, and those people have trouble in life. Again, in some cases they use it as extortion. Now, if I had an inkling, I probably wouldn't have been in the government if I had an inkling of what was actually going on the planet. I just probably would have stayed in the army, or actually, I'd have been to like the Harvard when I was 18. That's what actually probably happened. That lady did leave. This woman's in her room. This black lady that used to live here, I try to talk to her every so often. It's kind of difficult because she's so lonely. She just keeps going, and I've been known to do that because they do isolate me. But that's a byproduct of being isolated. And I made her the other day. I said, make sure you get a phone. She couldn't get into her phone. Something weird happened with it, and she was locked out. And I told her, you can't live without a phone. She's like, I guess maybe 65, I guess 70 maybe. And I said, you can't be here without a phone. Her phone in her room didn't work. Because I kept saying, you got a phone in the room? She goes, no, it doesn't work. I'm like, I said, at least you're near the office. Right. She may have moved, but I don't know. She had needed some surgery, so she could be in like a rehab or something. But you speak with her, and she's really a person that shares everything, and she goes back to years ago, and I was in Texas and this was happening, and I was in I'm Georgia or something like that, and this was happening. But it's an older black woman, so it's very interesting because it's kind of historical to a certain degree. It's more about her personal life, but it's kind of historical because you're going back all those years, raising children and. Thank you, Larry. But I told her, you got to get a phone. You can't. You got to first thing tomorrow morning, or I don't know if it was a Saturday, maybe if it's Monday or whatever it was. But I said you have to get a phone. You can't wait around for somebody to break into your phone. She was going to give it to like Apple or something. The Apple. They were going to send it to the Apple tech. I said you can't wait. If you got like a phone real quick. I think she actually needed a Google phone. Android. I don't know if she could figure out how to use it because she's been using an iPhone the whole time. But my point being, I don't think they're that impossible to get into this. She was totally. She wasn't getting in until the Apple tech fixed it. So that's something to think about when you have an elderly person. You could get locked out of an wow. You could get locked out of an iPhone more so than a Google phone. I'm sure of it, an Android. I mean, it does add a certain level of security, but like because I was like confused. I'm like, couldn't you just get on a computer or something? And she's like, no, have to take it somewhere. Or another phone. Like I have a tablet because I told her we could get into it. I researched it. I said, no, we can't get into it. Because I can bring my tablet over here and we'll get into it. Right. Wow, it's humid. It's going to rain today, I guess. Well, the community is becoming more aggressive against law enforcement officers because it doesn't matter if you're physically aggressive, if you're psychologically and metaphysically aggressive, then that's going to come back at you, possibly in physical aggression because they're down below you. And you actually, the reality is, you might be actually willing people, especially people of color, to attack your police department to prove whatever's in your head is true. And that's part of what's happening on the planet. Again, remember, Ben Franklin semi-adopted like 4 or 5. I can't remember the number, but I know it was at least 4. Like, I'll have to look it up, but he can look it up also. He adopted black children to prove they were just as intelligent as white children. And that thing is still here, the thing that's coming against them, which creates a world that causes them to be unintelligent. If you find some people of color, especially, just black people that are unintelligent. So if we move that kind of energy towards she's got the right collar. She's got the right collar on her dog here. She's the first person that knows the secret of the prong collar. she's got a pretty feisty pit bull there. So, but she's got the prong collar on, and she's not struggling. She's not breaking the dog's neck to control it. People see it and they won't get it. Oh my God, what is that monstrosity? But it's actually safer for the dog, safer for the owner. It's so easy. So eventually, through how you doing? So through using that prong collar, and you pick up some obedience dog trains, you get some goodies, right? And the dog will. Some dogs will naturally heal within a couple days of it. Even some right away, to a certain degree. Oh, they ruined housing, apartment house. Look, it goes up $200. Why? Because they know that's out of my price range, or it makes me poor, apartment poor. Now, since I say it, they may have raised it, but Oklahoma went like down after I left. They're doing it. How they do it? Could be computers, could be Russian spy machine, moving people to this area. Or it could be CIA itself. Yeah, corruption's thick. But they don't care. They're living a better life than their victims. That's how I like to keep it. They can rationalize what they're doing. It's starting to drizzle. Drizzle. Isn't that funny? I said it's going to rain. It rained. It started raining. Oh, hi, God. You're like clown up there, I see. No, it's just strange. Like my life is sleep, and like I would have kind of vision, I guess. But again, when you're asleep, you don't know what's happening. Things are just kind of going by. It was weird. The weirdest part was being half asleep and half awake, or not even half awake, just like a point to 1% awake, or 1% awake, and because you can begin to see all this stuff and know something's happening. It's like, what is this? And they're killing me in the middle of that. I mean, that's how weird it is. So they must have knew I was, either Satan knew I was waking up. Remember, they give the seed to Satan, so Satan knows what the future is here. Where God can't see the future, because you don't seek God, you seek Satan, even when you call it God. So again, the witness was that the planet is structured in a way that forces people to be gay. So they'll say, well, what about Jesus? And this is one of the things. Remember that guy cut his hand off and put it in a microwave? And he said God told him to do it? There are people that project that, including CIA, FBI. They're part of these weirdos. And again, FBI and CIA people know they got the weirdos. They don't, they can't do anything because they're stuck in the same system that empowers weirdos. Listen. So what they say is, well, doesn't Jesus say you should cut your hand off if it offends or whatever? Yeah, but he also said, and the disciples said, along with him, that there is a system here that causes people to fall. And there's a grading of people's culpability. Agreed, sir. And some people don't even begin to be culpable. So the church latches on to what it wants to latch on to. And again, that's the liberal church too. Because the liberal church doesn't want to say, hey, you're not supposed to be gay. You're not supposed to be gay, but you're not supposed to be in a body. You're not supposed to cause people to be upset. What happens is, because nobody knows the truth, things are larger and smaller in what I say based upon what they've put into the head, what they've put into existence. From both sides. So instead of hearing me neutrally, again, that neutral mind again. Instead of hearing me neutrally, you're skewed all of it. And admit it, for some people that are LGBTQ, if I say something about being gay, it's enlarged and it beats them in the head and they feel irritated and angry and upset. Because they're seeing with what they're forced to say. So again, we were spirit in the sky. I believe that's where, well, again, that would be kind of an in-between place. Right? Essentially, there's the metaphysical, I'll bring it up again, the physical and the spiritual. We are living in a place that is physical, although we can attain physical, spiritual, and it's not that God likes you better than anyone else. It's not, if you attain physical, spiritual, it's just you're lucky. Again, it's a gift. They call it a gift of God to remove any type of self-righteousness, any type of indignation on another person. Now you get to predestination. Within that, there is a predestination, but that's gone long ago. Again, when we go back to the garden, we see predestination. As soon as the thing with the snake happened, predestination's gone. Now, Well, the garden is not a physical place or a physical spiritual place. It's a spiritual physical place. So you go at the bottom, you have physical. God and I came up with this like 20 years ago, and everybody could have knew it, but you all killed it because it doesn't fit with the crimes you all commit in the name of something decent when it's not decent. So we're at a physical place. We can get the physical spiritual. The garden is a spiritual physical place. In that place, people weren't gay. Although we don't know, maybe the snake was gay. Oh, that means they're evil. So what God did is God communicated in a way that it could get through to the planet, which means Satan thought that Satan could use it, and Satan has used some of the scripture against people. But what's the key to that? That God looks at the total picture, and the scriptures actually did positive things. And in fact, destroying this planet could be positive. Because people keep getting born here. Spirits keep taking bodies, and it's just a mess, and it's not even worth anything. Because you don't know the truth. You all think that something's okay. So again, we go to what people say from the people of color community. They're correct, but they're not articulating it right because they don't have the knowledge that they could have had if I had been able to teach people. And I would have had a different life. It's just as they take you down, things attack you and you can't repel it. And they go, oh, see, he's admitting to a crime. No, that's ignorant of you to say that. But see, that's how you take somebody down. I shouldn't speak. No, it'd be way worse. So we have this physical existence. You can become physical, spiritual. The garden was a spiritual, physical place. So what happened in the garden cannot happen here. But yet in the garden, they were naked. So when a Christian tells somebody, oh, in the garden, this, that, and the other thing, we should be that way, we'll say, then, okay, take your clothes off and walk around naked all day. Otherwise, you're just destroying your scripture with nonsense. Now saying, oh, the great Rago El Razel. Again, I don't know how God uses those names. I am it for now. God's an interesting being. I love God. I mean, I can't leave Earth, and I want to be in Earth, and because I was supposed to live my life here and have a wife, a real wife. And a real wife is somebody you're supposed to be with versus somebody the system throws you with to destroy you. Again, there's a lot to the Bible, and they'll say, well, this thing saying we're supposed to get married. Well, my father, my mother, that's because they attacked them and they didn't, the biblical description of marriage didn't happen, which is equally yoked. And again, some people use equally yoked. Yeah, my family don't hang out with the fags. So again, there's a reality to everything and how they just, Jesus laughed at that one. So again, the teaching, it has to be somebody similar to me that can keep hearing and keep instructing you in what they're doing to your minds. So the fact is, that place, you're not supposed to be gay, but then what happened? The fall happened, and we were no longer in a spiritual, physical body. We ended up in a physical body that could attain physical, spiritual. But you can't attain physical, spiritual if the anti-power here focuses on you. Now, how am I spiritual or physical spiritual? Because God's right here. Hi, God. You're that cloud up there. I see you. So God has a spiritual presence that takes a form, but it's still spiritual. It's not physical. Okay. Well, I've instructed this a million times, but I bring it up every so often. Thank you, Mary. So the Bible actually speaks about God taking a form. So again, the church has no clue. I mean, zero clue. But God's not physical. Now, if you were to go, and I had this before the Hare Krishnas, but again, Hare Krishnas aren't Hindus. They do become like Hindus, but the Hare Krishnas, they're actually like the liberation movement within Hinduism. To get people out of the bullshit caste system. They had a caste system, but it wasn't like, oh, you're $1, let me screw you over. You're $1, let me serve you. you're what they used to call the untouchables. That's where it's supposed to be. Again, when I got there, they were fallen. They'll even tell you they're fallen, taking money from everyone. The proverbial prostitute. However, the idea was, because I want you to understand the difference, because I brought up Hinduism the other day, and then I speak of Hare Krishna, which people consider Hindu, but some Hare Krishnas take it offensive when they're considered a Hindu, because it's a little different, and probably a lot different. So, in the Hare Krishnas, when it comes to Hinduism, they believe that you're in a caste based upon, and Srila Prabhupada could have been a little bit discriminatory, based upon the teachings. But again, it's the same thing as Jesus. If you walked up to Srila Prabhupada, he'd treat you well. Right. So, but the thing being within all of that is that your caste system is who you are. And he even says, your father's an engineer, so you're an engineer? No, if you're a Brahmin, that means you're a Brahmin in this lifetime. There is no Brahmin family. So essentially, they stole, again, right, God brings something up to my head, and there's Jaggi. Hey, Jaggi. This guy that knew Hindu scripture, and, all the scriptures of India. I wouldn't want to call it Hindu, because it's all the scriptures in India. He studied them all. He was kind of a genius with it. Just had a lot of, again, he was a cursed person, and he had a very cursed life. But they would use him to teach people within the community at times. Some of the bigs would come in and say, "Oh, Jaggi, here, tell us a story, a Hindu story." And I was talking to him, and I said, "Look," I said, "what's going on is that the good people are living the lives." Again, who's good? No, not one. But what did Jesus say and the Bible say? That in the heart they're good. Again, the greatest mitzvah is charity of the heart. Charity of the heart towards people that are unlike you. In some way. I said, what's happening is the evil people are living the life of the good people, the karma. That it's being reversed. Because God had already told me that. And they do it by, saying stuff like, it's a criminal. When they're not a criminal. They've been given way by Satan on this planet to label people falsely and have it have effect. So he said, yes, I do remember a scripture. He said the witches were getting the karma. And see, a little bit extra there. The witches were getting the karma of the good people, and the karma was being reversed. They were living the good life. So in the Hare Krishna circles, it's a troubled existence, but the goal was that the higher the caste you were, the more you were required to serve others. And a Brahmin was pretty much somebody who was like in the Hare Krishna as a monk or a lay person, doing whatever good they could. But again, there's a price to pay. So again, you'll find them in their communities because it's just, again, like the Jews, it's almost the only way to survive. Now, in Hinduism, they developed the false teachings. Although it's the same teachings, they said that your caste is by birth. Your caste is by current position. Again, Srila Prabhupada, the Hare Krishna, said, you're not an engineer because your father's an engineer. You're not a doctor because your mother was a doctor. And you're not a Brahmin because your family's a Brahmin. But because that a large number of people bought into that, if you're a Brahmin, like a Patel, Patel's a Brahmin, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to look, but I think they are. They own the hotels. They got businesses. Now, there are Brahmins that do serve people. The one guy, I guess, on CNN, I think he was from a Brahmin family. I can't remember. It goes Brahmin. I'm essentially a Kshatriya to a certain degree, but I'm weird because I'm a Brahmanic Kshatriya, but I'm not a monk. Hide me! Don't let them see me. Why am I blue? I've lived many places in my father's existence. So in Hinduism, they developed this idea of I deserve to be a big business person because of who I am. I mean, I could look at these other people and I could see how, their lives are not what they're supposed to be, and that's their own. There are some. The Jains are really bad. Oh yeah, because you're poor because you did things to be poor. So in other words, they have information, but they don't have information, the updated information where the karma is reversed. Jainism can no longer exist in truth unless they acknowledge that some people on this planet are not living their karmic existence. And I'm hearing that it's in Hinduism, actually. If you study Hinduism, you'll see that could happen. Well, again, the story of Prahlad Maharaj is this kid that was really into God. He used to chant about God all the time and speak about God. Well, his father was evil, an evil devil. But his father was in heaven, and he was essentially a guard of God's, the gates to God's abode. Again, they're teaching it the best way they can to the people that were receiving it. You can't teach physics. Actually, they did. I take that back because there's physics in there, and they taught it to some of these people. But the thing being that the father was in heaven as a servant of God. And somebody felt dissed that was like a witch. Actually, it was two beings, I think it was. And it caused that individual to fall into a body on earth. And on earth, that person was living a life as a devil. Thank you. Or as an evil person. And he had a son that was, one of the highest regarded saints of the religion. And his father tried eventually taking him out, and he couldn't. So it goes into this existence that I can read around that. Again, the spiritual was interacting with the spiritual, or with the physical, and the physical spiritual. And it caused a meth on Earth. It caused a meth on Earth. There you go. There's the answer. So we'll get into that. And I've spoken on meth being a harmful drug, helpful drugs versus harmful drugs, and how the scriptures speak of the harmful drugs. I'll be out in a second here. I'm going to take a break. You stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do.